Dear friends, I'm Operator Starsky, and this is day 1041 of Russia's three-day invasion of Ukraine. No ceasefire, no negotiations. The Russian officials promise to continue aggression against Ukraine. Unprecedented Russian hybrid warfare against European countries indicates preparation to potential conflict, according to NATO. SkyNet against Russian terrorism. Ukraine digitizes its infantry. This is the frontline focus. Let's roll. Last week, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov stated that Russia would not participate in Ukraine's proposed peace summit, even if formally invited, and Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov reinforced this stance, declaring that the terrorist federation can't see any reason for a ceasefire, and basically confirming that Russian aggression against Ukraine will continue indefinitely. As we can tell, Russia's strategy is not limited to striking children's hospitals and critical civilian infrastructure in Ukraine. Basically, their hybrid tactics, which combine military, economic, and cyber domains, these tactics are increasingly targeting NATO members directly. Earlier in November, incendiary devices of Russian origin were found on board of cargo airplanes heading to the United States and Canada. Analysts view this as a possible attempt to test NATO's defensive capabilities and strike American logistics. Meanwhile, Russian hacker group claimed responsibility for cyber attacks conducted against Italy's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and major airports, which further demonstrates their capacity to disrupt critical infrastructure in NATO countries. Another notable accident occurred recently when Finnish authorities detained a Russian ship suspected of severing undersea cables between Finland and Estonia. These cables are vital for communication and economic activity across Europe, but also for strategic communications between NATO members. Sources in the Finnish law enforcement reported that an undersea trail as long as 10 kilometers was discovered where the Russian ship was dragging its anchor across the sea bottom. Only 3 months earlier, in September, the US authorities expressed their concern about growing activities of the Russian Navy that could indicate preparation for a potential attack on European communication infrastructure. In addition to kinetic and cyber operations, Russia continues to expand its disinformation campaigns. These efforts include creation of fake media outlets and deployment of millions of AI-driven bots to spread disinformation. How effective was Russian informational warfare in year 2024? This month, The Guardian published a poll conducted in European countries in December. Number of people willing to continue supporting Ukraine until Russian withdrawal is decreasing. In the meantime, the number of people who encourage negotiations, even if it means victory for Russian terrorists, is growing. And all that, my friends, is considering the fact that Russia is waging an unprovoked war against Ukraine, which it obliged to respect and protect in 1994. Because millions of Russian bots every single day were convincing people that they should only stop supporting Ukraine and everything will be fine. No more Russian terrorist attacks, no more nuclear threats, no more tensions between terror Russia and NATO countries. You should only sacrifice Ukrainian people to the Russian terrorists and live peacefully. Russia's puppet Tucker Carlson even visited Russia twice to underscore these messages, because this is something extremely crucial for Putin. He understands that his invasion will not succeed with NATO helping Ukraine defend itself. Russians understand they will lose the war of attrition and their economy collapses if Ukraine keeps receiving solid support from the Western countries with combined annual GDP 40 times larger than in the terrorist federation. And this is why Russians incessantly scream from the top of their lungs every single day that supporting Ukraine has no sense, that Ukraine is a lost cause, because the truth is Putin's own survival depends on this. The sophistication and scale of these hybrid campaigns make them a serious challenge for for Western democracies, which unfortunately still have no idea how to combat Russian disinformation, and whatever solutions they have cannot compete with Russians spending billions on propaganda every single year. Next, European and US intelligence agencies have also raised concerns about Russia's long-term military ambitions. Reports suggest that Moscow is preparing for a potential large-scale operations against NATO, possibly within the next decade, and most possibly this aggression will start on the Baltic soil. The mentioned Russian preparations include enhanced military exercises, modernization of weaponry, and increased emphasis on nuclear capabilities, which may not look encouraging, judging from those numerous failed Russian nuclear tests, but nonetheless, they are not afraid of looking ridiculous while you fear. And these actions indicate that Russia sees NATO not as a deterrent, but as an adversary to overcome. This is why you can see so many Russian assets talking in the Western media about NATO bad and Russia being misunderstood. To summarize this, Putin's actions demonstrate a commitment to a prolonged and diverse confrontation with NATO. And in order to survive, NATO's response will require even bigger dedication, continued investment in defense capabilities, coordinated cyber resilience measures, robust counter-disinformation strategy, which again doesn't exist because they have no idea how to fight it and why. At the same time, maintaining unity among member states will be essential to countering these threats effectively. As we move into 2025, governments and institutions must act decisively to address these challenges. And of course, public awareness and resilience will also play a key role in safeguarding our shared values and security. SkyNet against Russia. How do you like that? An important update from Ukrainian battleground went unnoticed. For the first time in history, Ukrainian armed forces conducted a ground operation using machines only. According to the representatives of Brigade Hartia, National Guard of Ukraine, aerial drones and ground drones equipped with machine guns were involved in the advance against the Russian terrorists. From what I can tell, the operation could have taken place somewhere between Kharkiv and Liman. And basically, Ukrainian drones nowadays are capable of doing absolutely fantastic things on the battleground. And I'm sure it's not our limit. Dear friends, please subscribe to stay informed about the most important updates in and around Ukraine, and share this content to help Ukraine be heard. Traditionally, see you in the commentaries. Happy New Year and victory and strength to us all. I'm Operator Starsky. As always, be safe.